Have you ever left a discovery call thinking, I totally messed that up? Because yeah, same. When it comes to running your own design business, you're not just selling design, you're selling clarity, confidence, and trust. And it all starts on that first discovery call. And in this video, I'm going to show you the exact discovery call framework I have used with over 100 clients around the world. I'm going to take you through how I build connection, qualify the right client, and actually move from people being curious about my offer to actually signing on. So let's start with what is a discovery call? It is that initial call before you sign on a project. And I usually do this because I want to understand if the client and I are going to be a good fit. Now, what I've noticed is people think that a discovery call is a sales pitch, which it's not. It's really about qualifying them as the right clients for you and for them to qualify you as the right designer for the project. You're figuring out if this professional relationship is worth building. So let's start with how do you actually book a discovery call? So I have a contact form on my website. So if anybody wants to work with me, they click the link in my bio, then that takes them to the book a free discovery call. And then the client can enter their details and then book a call. And one of the great things about a contact form is it already filters out people. I usually ask about what type of service they're interested in and also understand their budgets. So I used to keep this blank and I would get on calls with people that were not qualified to work with me in terms of pricing. And so now I put out budget ranges to assess what their budget is and if it's something that I can accommodate. This is really powerful because it has saved me so much time from getting on calls with poor leads. So once I get the contact form, I email the client back and then I schedule a call. So I actually decided to call this discovery call framework the 4 C's. Also in the next few seconds, I'm going to put a slide so you can see the framework of the 4 C's broken down so you can apply these to your discovery calls. Number 1 is to connect. The goal is to break the ice and set the tone. Now, when you jump on a call, you immediately want to put the prospect at ease, just like you're meeting somebody new. And I usually start with something like, hi, thank you so much for getting on a call. I'm really excited to discuss how we could work together. And I'm also excited to discover more about your business. And just a little intro puts you in control of the call. It makes them feel comfortable and it sets expectations from the get-go. Now, before you jump into the business side of things, it is important to build a casual connection with the prospect. I always take like 2 to 5 minutes to understand more about the client and their personal life. Like maybe they're calling in from another country and you want to know how the weather is. Or sometimes I like to ask how their weekend was and just build a conversation around that. And when you do this, people's guards are like let down and it makes it easier for them to connect with you. And people usually want to work with people they like. You don't need to fake or overdo it. Just be yourself and have a casual conversation. Number 2 is you want to understand the prospect's business world. Okay, so now we get into the business part of the call. Asking questions, but you don't want to make it sound like an interview. You actually want to be genuinely curious in the client's brand. So some questions that I ask is, tell me about your business. What was the idea behind it? Is this your first business or have you started other businesses before? Because it gives you more context about them. Then also, have you worked with a designer before? How was that experience? And what are you hoping to gain working together? And honestly, any questions that you think was going to help you understand more about the brand. And this is where the real discovery begins. Their pain points, their insecurities, their stories, the timeline, hopes, all of it. And many times the clients end up giving a whole life story about like what inspired it. And I take a lot of notes because you never know if something personal that they shared that could be the trigger or inspiration point for the brand, and you want to note down everything. I usually note down like where the client's from or like what school they went to or any key moments in their life that inspired them to create this brand or what would be a cool inspiration for the brand identity. Every little detail counts. And I write this in my notepad actively as the call is going on. Also, sometimes when they're talking, you'll realize that they don't actually have a design problem. It could be something deeper like a strategy problem or a positioning problem. And you can also let them know that, you don't think that you're the right person for this problem. Another thing is prospects are not really interested in what key or buzzwords you're using in the call. A lot of it is rooted in how you sound. So if you're calm, you make the client calm. But if you're jumpy or you're anxious, that immediately is reflected to the client and then they also start feeling anxious and maybe they start doubting in your expertise. So you really want to ensure that you bring some calm energy when you start your discovery call. Also, how you look does matter. If you're having a video call, you want to make sure you have a blank background or not a busy background. Or if you're a designer like me, you want to have something that maybe reflects your personality, that shows that you're a creative. You also want to make sure you're wearing something decent important, so just something minimal, like just a normal jacket, nothing too busy or crazy that would distract them from the conversation of the call. Because obviously you as well would want to work with somebody who sounds nice, who is calming, who's confident, and also looks presentable. You would not trust somebody with your business if they show up to a call in pajamas. Number 3 is to clarify. Share how you work and see if it's aligned with the prospect. So now that they've shared a lot about their business, I then invite them to ask me any questions they have, or I suggest if they want to know my branding process. Now, many of the times the prospects that I get on call with don't have an idea what a brand identity is or what the process of branding looks like. And so it's my role to help guide them what branding is. This is where I show them real examples of my work, like what a creative direction document looks like, what a brand guideline PDF looks like, and also guide them through the process of how it would be working together. And as a designer, you might think this stuff is basic, but you know, when we use terms like brand identity and color palettes and font suites, like it seems basic for us, but for them, they have no idea about it. And so you have to assume that the prospect you're speaking to has no idea about all of these crazy big words in the branding industry. You need to break it down and make it so easy for them to understand. They don't know what a deliverable necessarily looks like, so you want to show them. You're not just talking on this call, you're also educating the prospect, and that makes them feel safer and trust you. And the best part about all of this is you are showing the proof of what you can do. So now at this point, the client has shared everything about their business and brand and inspo, and then I have shared about my process. So then I ask them, what is their timeline looking like? And this is really important because I want to make sure that I can meet their deadline. There's no point taking on a project and discussing it. And also what I've noticed is sometimes clients think that they can build a brand or launch a brand in, I don't know, a month or two. But because I have worked with so many clients, I've noticed that you want to start building a brand identity 6 to 9 months before your brand launches. And again, prospects don't have this knowledge, so you're there to guide them on this. Okay, so now let's talk about money because everybody shies away from this topic. I remember when I was starting out, I would avoid bringing this up and I would just not talk about it. And then the call would end and I would send a proposal. But now I make it a point to bring out budget during the call. And I'm really confident when I approach it. So when a client doesn't bring it up, I will actually bring it up and ask like, what is your budget for this project? And what I've noticed is prospects don't like to disclose this. And they would usually be like, oh, I don't know, what are your packages you offer? Or it's open-ended. But this doesn't really help you. So I would just start sharing budget ranges. Like, is it $5,000? Is it $10,000? And immediately with their reaction, you can see if this is something that works for them or not. And this works every single time. And if they're really being difficult about it, you can be confident and bring up your own price points and be like, okay, so I usually start my projects from $4,000 to $6,000. Does this align with your budget requirements? And you will usually get an answer from this. But never end a discovery call without knowing what the prospect is willing to invest in. You really need to assess on the call if the client is ready to work with you or not when it comes to pricing. Because I can assure you that 90% of the time, a prospect will not work with you because of the budget. And so you want to iron out all of their doubts actively during the call. And number 4, decide the next steps. And now once everything has been discussed, I ask them again if they have any questions for me. And then I usually tell the prospect that I'm going to send them a proposal with 2 options because usually each project is custom coded. What matters is that I qualify the lead before I send them anything. I make sure we're aligned because otherwise we're both wasting our time. And that's how I run my discovery calls. I don't have a script. I don't have fake pitching. I'm not pretending to be someone else. It's just a conversation rooted in discovery, listening, and clarity. If you're a designer and discovery calls give you anxiety, I hope this video has helped. Let me know in the comments, what do you struggle with? And if you found this video useful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.